Breaking news from the Bronx tonight, where federal authorities have launched a sweeping RICO case, the alleged leader of the criminal enterprise.
In federal courtrooms across the United States, some cases are built around a single crime. But when prosecutors invoke the Racketeer, Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, they're telling a different story. They moved them at 4:37 a.m. Zaire woke up to keys before he opened his eyes. He sat up slow, already alert, listening. "Quell!" the correctional officer barked. "Roll up!" No questions. Bail review. 7:30. That's what the CO told him the night before. He dressed, rinsed the razor, slid it under his tongue. Metal against flesh. Quiet. Patient. The transport van was ice cold. Steel bench. Chain bolted to the floor rail. No real windows. Just a slit in the panel you had to lean into like you were trying to overhear God. He didn't bother. 2 men in federal khaki sat across from him. One was asleep, head against the wall, mouth open, breathing heavy. The other one stared at the floor, waiting. Waiting was a skill. You learn how to suspend yourself between moments, how to stop the clock in your head when the one outside meant nothing. Zaire closed his eyes. He didn't pray. Prayer required patience. He didn't believe patience practiced under pressure when it hadn't been practiced anywhere else. He calculated instead. That was his ritual. Narcotics conspiracy, wire fraud, firearm enhancement. Murder in aid of racketeering. That last one always felt inflated. The June 18th shooting was real. Too real. He knew what happened that night. Knew the names. Knew the weight of knowing. But the way they were writing it, enforcement action, authorized response, language that turned a phone call into a policy directive. That was a different kind of real. That was constructed. They weren't prosecuting a shooting. They were building an enterprise. At the courthouse holding cell, they placed him alone. He leaned back against the center block wall, shifted the razor from the right side of his mouth to the left. It was freezing. He focused on the cold until he couldn't feel it, then let his mind move. Backward first. He hadn't intended to be what they were saying. Nobody begins their story planning to be called an enterprise. The money started small, manageable, the kind of small that felt proportional to your size. Then the small became comfortable. Comfortable became expected. Expectation hardened into structure. Structure carried its own momentum. 2 years ago, it was 10,000 on a good week. Not simple, but bounded. He could see the edges. By last winter, it pushed into 6 figures some months. Never movie money, but enough that envelopes felt different in your hand. Heavier. Enough that people started calling instead of texting. The air around them shifted the way pressure shifts before weather changes. Territory meant something when there was nothing to protect. It meant everything once there was. He didn't wake up one morning and decide to lead. There was no inauguration, no moment of declaration. He woke up and realized people were waiting for him to speak. That was different. Leadership in his world wasn't a vote or an appointment. It was gravity. The person money, conflict, and decisions circled. He hadn't campaigned for it, hadn't forced it. He was just being consistent. Over time, the center drifted. No ceremony, no announcement. He allowed it. Sitting in the holding cell, he understood that distinction wouldn't matter. The government prosecuted pattern, documentation, repetition. What happened again and again, not what it felt like the first time. The door opened. Attorney visit, the CO told him. He shifted the razor from the left side of his mouth back to the right. Camille Armand entered the room. She set her legal pad on the table, sat down, looked at Zaire. Zaire looked at her. You're not who I expected. Nobody ever says that in a good way, she said. What were you expecting? Someone older, male. Someone who looked more like what the government looks like? She opened the legal pad. Good. That's the last thing you want across from Omen Kells. He studied her. You know him? I know how he writes indictments, where he stretches verbs, where he tightens narratives until they read like facts. She looked up. I know because I used to do it. 15 years as a federal prosecutor before I decided the other side needed better help than it was getting. So you know how this works. I know how this works better than he wants me to. She took the top off her pen. Which is why the first thing I'm going to tell you is that your case isn't about what you did. It's about what they can make 12 people believe you intended. Those are 2 different trials, and most defendants don't understand the difference until they're already losing the second one. Zaire leaned back. And what do you think I intended? I don't care what you intended, she said. I care what you said. Specifically, the words that came out of your mouth on the night of April 14th. He looked at her. Handle it, he said. She let the words sit on the table between them like evidence. Then she turned the legal pad toward him. On it, she'd written a single word before she came in. Authorized, That's their word, she said. Not yours. Yours was 2 words. Theirs is 1. You'd think 1 was smaller than 2. She paused. You'd be wrong. Their word carries 20 years. Yours carries what you meant, which is only useful if we can prove what you meant, which means I need to know everything that happened before you said it. Zaire looked at the word on the pad. You saying the call ain't the case? The call is the exhibit, Camille said. The case is the 30 days before the call, the information you were given, the picture of the situation someone painted for you before you responded to it. She pulled the pad back. Because handle it is a response, and responses have origins. The government built their case forward, from your words to the shooting to the indictment. They didn't go backwards. And backwards is where you going. Backwards is where your defense lives. She looked at him. So who told you Denton was making a move? The room went silent. He'd been staring at his words for months. He hadn't looked at what came before them. Who had brought him the information that made handle it feel like the proportionate response instead of the catastrophic one? Someone told you something, Camille said, before you spoke. What did they tell you? They told me Denton was making a move, he said slowly. Was he? Zaire looked at the table. I believed it, he said. Camille underlined what she'd written. That distinction is reasonable doubt, she said. Who told you? He said the name. Camille wrote it down. Is that name in the indictment? Zaire asked. No, she replied. Is it in any case file? Not that I've seen. Zaire looked at the word authorized on the legal pad. So he's out there. For now, she said, and capped her pen. Here's what I need you to understand. The government thinks they've built a ceiling over you, a fixed number. She stood and collected her pad. They've built a floor, and floors crack. She looked at him one last time. I find the crack. You don't talk to anyone, not your co-defendants, not people inside, not anyone who asks questions through third parties, until I tell you it's time to talk. And when is it time to talk? When talking is a weapon instead of a liability. She moved to the door. Right now it's a liability. She knocked for the guard. One more thing, Zaire said. She turned. You didn't ask if I did it. Camille looked at him. I never asked that, she said. What you did is history. What I can prove is the future. I work in the future. The door opened. She was gone before he could respond. He rolled the razor with his tongue and let it rest against his back molars. Camille came back at 2 p.m. after the bail hearing. She sat down, legal pad open, pen ready. Bail was denied, and Jalen Mercer proffered yesterday, she said. Zaire shook his head. How you know? Because the government amended their detention memo overnight, and I read everything they filed within an hour of it hitting that docket. She looked at him. That's not a coincidence. That's Mercer. They added language about decision-making authority, hierarchical structure, territory enforcement. He's trying to save himself. Of course he is, Camille said. That's not the problem. The problem is what he gave them to work with. She wrote something on the pad. Mercer's a small box on their chart. His value wasn't facts, it was architecture. And if the shape is wrong, doesn't matter if 12 people believe it's right. She looked up. But that's manageable. Mercer I can work with. Mercer I can cross-examine into the ground because Mercer has exposure and juries understand self-interest. She paused. Sin Carter is a different conversation. Zaire kept his calm. What about her? She requested information about proffer agreements. My read, she signed. He didn't say anything. Camille set her pen down. She needed him to pay attention to what came next. I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to answer it without deciding first what I can handle. Zaire looked at her. Is there anything between you and Sin Carter that exists outside the indictment? The silence stretched. We're co-defendants, Zaire said. Camille looked at him for a long moment. That, she said, is the most careful, non-answer I've heard in a room like this. She wrote something down, which tells me everything I need to know and nothing I can use. She looked up. So let me put it differently. If Sin Carter sits across from Omen Kells and describes the interior of your operation, is there anything she knows, anything at all, that lives outside the four corners of this indictment? Zaire looked at the table, at the word authorized that Camille had written that morning and was still visible as an impression on the legal pad, even though she turned the page. I don't know what she knows, he said. But you know what she could know. He said nothing. Camille nodded. She was filing information rather than responding to it. Okay, she said. Here's what happens now. Sin Carter talks. She'll give them something real, wrapped in language she controls. The government gets a cooperator with credibility and enough interior knowledge to make the enterprise theory breathe. She paused. Which means the case gets harder before it gets easier. So what do? We go backward faster than they're going forward. She stood up. I need everything about the 30 days before April 14th. Every conversation, every piece of information you received. Everyone who told you anything about the situation you were responding to. She gathered the legal pad. Starting with the name you gave me this morning. I'm going to find out everything about that name that the government hasn't already found out. And if what you find doesn't help, Camille looked at him. I don't go looking for things that don't help, she said. I go looking for the truth. In my experience, the truth and what helps have a way of finding each other when someone's willing to follow them back far enough. She moved to the door. Camille, he said. She turned. Sin's not the enemy. Camille looked at him. In a RICO case, she said, the only people who aren't the enemy are the ones whose interests align with yours. She stared in his eyes. Right now, I don't know whose interests align with yours. That includes the people you trust. She paused. Figure out who that is, carefully, before someone figures it out for you. She knocked for the guard. Gone. Zaire sat in the room alone. He thought about Sin signing a proffer. He thought about what she knew, what she could know, what she might choose to say. He didn't have answers yet. He had the unease of a man who understood that someone he trusted was in a room somewhere making decisions that would shape his life, and that he had no way to know what those decisions looked like from the inside. But he had Camille, a name nobody thought to look for yet, and a crack in the floor that they built as a ceiling. For now, that had to be enough. He ran his palm over his mouth and spit the razor into his hand. Back at the U.S. Attorney's office, Omen Kells stood in front of the whiteboard with the marker, adding a line that hadn't been there the day before. The names had multiplied, boxes had grown. The arrows between them had been redrawn in different colors to indicate different types of connection: communication, money, presence, and deference. Kane Marr sat at the table with the summary for Mercer's proffer open in front of him. He'd read it twice. He was reading it a third time because he was waiting for the feeling that meant he believed him. He didn't give us murder, Kane said. He gave us structure, Omen replied, still facing the board. He gave us his perception of structure. Omen turned. He placed Quell at the top of the territory disputes, confirmed that financial decisions routed through him in high-level conflicts, said people deferred. Kane looked at the word deferred in the summary. It appeared twice. The analyst who transcribed the session had put it in quotes the first time, which meant Mercer had used it himself rather than being led to it. That was important. A word volunteered carried different weight than a word suggested. Deference implies perception of authority, Kane said. Not necessarily actual authority. Perception sustained over time becomes operationally equivalent to authority. Kane leaned back. He had heard that argument before. He had made that argument before, in a different case, in front of a different judge. The argument was legally sound. The argument was also, in his experience, a mechanism by which scale could be constructed from constellation. Enough distant points connected until they resembled a pattern that may or may not have been there before you started drawing lines. He thought about the man he helped put away for 11 years. He didn't allow himself to think about it often. When he did, he tried to be precise about what actually happened. The cooperator whose testimony felt credible because it was the cooperator's genuine perception of events he had interpreted through his own interests. Perception offered as a fact. A jury believed it because it cohered. Cohesion wasn't truth. Cohesion was just a story without visible gaps. And Carter, Kane asked. She signed. That wasn't the same as Mercer. Kane had watched Sin in court, controlled, never suppressing reaction, anticipating questions and answering them before they formed, the way certain minds operated in adversarial environments. She's not Mercer, Kane said. I know. Which means, if she talks, it's not going to be panic. Omen capped the marker. No, he said. It'll be surgical. Kane looked at the board, at the arrow pointing from Sin Carter's box to Zaire Quell's box, newly drawn, still in the lighter marker, not yet committed. Be sure this is the real thing, he thought to himself. Sin sat across from Alan Rosenstein. Before we go in, Rosenstein said, you understand the parameters? Yes. You speak truthfully. They cannot use your statements directly against you in their case in chief if negotiations fail. But derivative evidence is in play. Anything they find because of what you tell them becomes fair game. And if you lie, any part of it, the agreement disappears and you're back to raw exposure. I understand. Why now, Sin? She looked back at him. They're not building cases, she said. They're building narrative. They have their shape. They have Mercer. They have the wiretaps, the timeline, and the financial information. Every day I don't speak, they refine it without me. They're describing a structure from the outside. The longer I wait, the more that description gets distorted. Rosenstein was quiet. This puts you in direct opposition to Quell. I was never in opposition to him, she said. But I'm not dying inside someone else's description. Rosenstein held that sentence and nodded. Then he gathered his documents and they went in. The proffer room smelled like coffee. The recorder sat in the center of the table. Omen sat across from her. Kane sat to the side, slightly back, listening. Sin folded her hands on the table. You're alleging an enterprise, she said, without waiting for a question. If you want to understand how decisions were made, you need to understand the difference between perception and control. Omen leaned forward. Walk us through that distinction. People assumed RICO had a final say because he was consistent. He didn't hold meetings. There wasn't a structure anyone voted on. He was just a person who didn't flinch. That's what people moved toward. So he had final say. He had weight, she replied. Gravity. It's not the same thing as authority. On June 18, Kane said, who made the call? Sin paused. The pause lasted long enough that the recorder caught the room breathing. Inside that pause lived the full complexity of what she was doing. She was describing a thing that had actually existed in the hope that her description would be more precise than the government's. That precision was its own form of protection. RICO was consulted, she said. Consulted. Not authorized, not ordered, not directed. Consulted. Omen wrote it down. He understood immediately what she'd done. The word placed Quell at the center without assigning him the active verb. Consultation still established knowledge, still established involvement, but the architecture of it shifted weight. He didn't challenge it. He would let the lawyers parse it later. What mattered now was she was speaking, and speaking was a door, and doors led places. Tell me about the money, he said, and she told him. When the session ended, Sim walked back to her unit without looking at anyone. The hallway was painted green from floor to waist and white above that, a color division that had some administrative logic she never learned and didn't need to. Her footsteps were flat on the linoleum. Even the sound of movement in here was absorbed. She felt lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because she acted. Heavier because action in here always carried the weight of what it meant to someone else. She hadn't lied. She chose words carefully, placed them deliberately, declined to offer what was not asked for. She described the thing as it had actually existed rather than the cartoon version the government was drafting. Whether that was protection or exposure for either of them, she wouldn't know for months. What she knew was description was its own kind of power. She had chosen to wield it rather than let it be wielded over her. Across the facility, in a different unit, Zaire lay on his bunk with the superseding indictment open on his chest. Zaire Quell, also known as RICO. He hated also known as. It made it sound fictional, like you were a character someone invented rather than a person who becomes something gradually. He read the overt acts section slowly. June 18, authorized response to encroachment on QV Enterprise territory, resulting in the death of Malik Denton. Authorized. He stared at the word. He was on the phone that night. That was true. He said handle it. That was true too. But he meant pressure, presence, a show of numbers, the kind of force that reminded people where lines were without crossing them irrevocably. He hadn't meant Malik Denton's name in an obituary. But intent is really what survives paperwork. Intent lives in the moment of decision and dies in the space between what you said and what happened. The government didn't need to prove what he meant. They needed to prove a man died and that his death was connected to a decision that could be traced back to a call he made. Handle it was 2 words. Those 2 words were now a count of murder and aid of racketeering. He folded the indictment and slid it under his pillow. He stared at the ceiling. The water stain was still there. He'd been looking at it every night for 6 weeks. He decided it was nothing, just water, finding the path of least resistance, settling into whatever shape the ceiling allowed. If sin was talking, the structure was solidifying. If the structure was solidifying, trial was no longer about what actually happened on any given night. It was about whether the government's version cohered well enough that 12 people in a box believed it. Cohesion was easier to prove than chaos. He understood that now in a way he hadn't before. He thought the case was about facts. What you did, what you didn't do, what they could prove. He was beginning to understand that facts were the raw material. What mattered was the story assembled from them. And right now, other people were doing the assembling. For the first time, he entertained the possibility that survival might require doing something he'd never done. He rolled onto his side, slid the razor from underneath the pillow, and held it.